to keep us programmed and keep us thinking that, oh, this is what Black people are. This is who we are. This is what we are like. But then there's people like me and you, we look at it and discuss because it don't represent us. You know what I'm saying? But as long as the world don't know that we exist, then, you know, we gonna lose.
The power exchange.
The power exchange.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Eccentric Empress.
It's your boy Said. I'm Big Said now.
Hey. And we are the hosts of The Power Exchange.
The Power Exchange. Let's go. I just want to let everybody know it's okay to disagree, but if you don't have an open mind, then we've already lost.
So just to reiterate, one reason why we started this podcast was because we know that knowledge is spread through conversation. Knowledge is power, right? So we need to be able to talk about hard issues, and we have a topic to talk about today briefly that shows just how limited people are when it comes to their capacity to have a regular conversation.
Thanks.
So
it shows also, it shows also how people can be closed-minded and just how people feel so threatened by change and they're threatened by knowledge that they immediately just attack or they just say anything. But those things describe your character, not mine. So. Absolutely.
We'll give you guys an example of what took place. So Big Said took the initiative to promote our page a little bit, and we got some certified grade A trolls who hopped online to make some comments. We'll show y'all one of the comments right here. As you can see, we blacked out the person's name because we're not trying to get y'all to come knock at their door and be like, hey, why you being racist? We just want to talk about it, right? Okay, so the comment says, look at me, I'm Black and I don't have my rights. Boo-hoo, we're all equal. Stop this racist crap.
Right. The crazy thing about this is I challenge these people to show me how someone who's being oppressed and then they express the differences that they recognize in their life, how is that being racist?
Absolutely.
I just want to, there was another comment that said that we were a scam. So if anyone has been scammed out of some money or if we've got your personal information, we're sorry, but we haven't contacted anyone, so I don't know.
That was weird. Scam, we're just talking. This is a podcast. We didn't ask anybody for nothing.
Right.
The thing that was...
we didn't even say like and subscribe, and we don't even do that. People do that in their videos. They had a little thing that pop up, bling, hit the box down below, like your boy, turn notifications on. We didn't even do that. So,
it was just an intro video saying what we were going to be talking about. And we mentioned that we were going to talk about issues that impact the African-American community because we're African-American people. We're going to talk about other things too. And so we're thinking that the racist part came from us wanting to talk about ourselves and our own community. I didn't know that was a thing, that we couldn't do that. Said, what? Oh my goodness. So it was just mind blowing. So I just wanted to reassert how crazy that is. And when Said was like, hey, it doesn't seem like you watched our intro video. We plan to represent everyone. We just happen to be Black. I also wanted to follow up and say, and we should not be feeling any kind of pressure for wanting to talk about issues that impact Black folks. And we're Black. And even if we weren't, if someone took the initiative to say, I know that they're continuously marginalized and oppressed people, right? In this caste system that still semi-exists in the United States. And I want to talk about the issues that are not, seen by the masses, right? What's the problem with that? It is a reality. So if anything, I would turn the lens on them and ask them, well, we kind of wanted to ask them what was racist about it, and they don't say anything. So you didn't want to talk.
Right.
You just wanted to.
Exactly. That's my issue. People who I guess they call themselves participating, why not be a part of the solution instead of creating a new problem or being a part of the problem? Oh, but don't get it twisted. I have Hispanic friends. I have friends who are from the other side of the world, and we're gonna speak to them about the stuff that they go through as well. So yeah, you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
And yeah, it's not a race thing. It's crazy that people want to pull the race card in a defensive manner, and use it to attack. You know what I'm saying? You're creating a new problem. And just like people used to say, that common offensive term, I have Black friends, I have white friends.
That doesn't make you the authority on anything just because you have Black friends. It's wrong. Like if you think about the positionality of people who say certain things, you always have to take that into account. I don't know the race of this person. I blocked out their face just now. I didn't go into their profile or anything, but you did. If this person happens to be white, we need to come from a mindset of like, not only is it white supremacist culture, you are sitting here telling me that I can't talk about issues that impact me. So it also like hardens up this thing about it's okay to talk about your race, or it's okay to erase race and pretend that everything is colorblind. Like, but pretending that we're colorblind doesn't change the fact that things are different for you than they are for me. And people are like, oh, we're all equal. We are not. The statistics will tell you that we are not. If you go all the way back to like just thinking about the concept of redlining and denying people loans, like mortgages, you can't get homes in certain areas. That has generational
example I was about to use.
Come on, that has an impact on me right now.
I was about to say, let's use a real world example. When an African-American family sells their home, they remove anything that will let someone know that it was the home of an African-American family, because they're going to get a lower sale. They're not going to make as much money. Like, just like when you're trying to move into a certain neighborhood, if you let them know you're African-American up front, you might not even get that appointment. They may not even meet with you. Now, this is stuff that anybody could just Google, look up. It's widely known. But then again, we still have people who want to pretend, even though these things are general facts, FAQ, like everybody knows this stuff.
Right.
We still have people who want to pretend, oh no, it's all equal. We have the same opportunity. No, we do not. I wasn't born into a family where my dad owned a company and then we were all just given jobs and I'm given a car and this and that and the third. And they'll say, oh, that's your dad's fault. No, my dad wasn't born into a family where his dad owned a company and he was given the job.
And his opportunity to even be in a position where he could own something was greatly impacted by the fact that he was a Black male, right? You can go all the way back. Like I got papers and papers and papers I could show, but we know what I'm talking about. Anybody can go look it up. There are people who were talking about, hey, I graduated from a great school and I still can't get a job. Why is that? Like, anyway, so.
But and in that same breath, my grandmother wasn't allowed to go to school. They said, we need you to work. So it all starts from the family line. People had wealth way back then before we even could acquire a last name that was ours. You see what I'm saying? And we could establish wealth and own property and become a whole human. You know, before we could do that in the United States, people already had wealth in their family. So that's why you have some family names that just have a lineage, like the Rothschilds and stuff like that, where it's just, they're going to be straight no matter what. They can just come and live the life however they want to, make whatever mistakes they want to. They're still going to get a car, still going to get a house, still going to go to school, still going to get whatever dreams they want to come true. These people, their kids get to be the dreamers and the wanderers. They get to grow up and not have a job for several years and go to school for whatever they want to, because they have that freedom. They have financial freedom. In my community, you need to get a job as soon as possible so you can help your mama pay the rent. You know what I mean? So we're not the same.
For sure.
In no way. In no way. You know,
even if you didn't grow up with your parents having a business, if you are white in America, you have a privilege immediately because of the color of your skin. And it's important for you to understand that even if you didn't grow up rich, you still have a privilege because your race is associated with the superior structure in our country. So you may not know how you have benefited from the privilege, but you have. And that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
And at this point, I probably would cut to a clip because me and Anthony had a great conversation about that. Black Lives Matter movement, where we march and preach about our people and the value of life. And I was with my son at the gas station, and I remember I looked at this dude because he was watching us, and then he stopped at the door to the gas station and was just watching us. And I was like, "What's up?" And he was like, "What's up, puss ass nigga?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, fuck nigga." And I was just like, "Bruh, I'm with my son. What the fuck? What's wrong with you?" And he was like, "Nah, nigga, fuck all that shit." And I was like, "Oh, okay, bro." But the crazy thing about that is everybody there was entertained. You see what I'm saying? This is the real problem with our culture. People will preach Black Lives Matter here and there. Them niggas would have watched this nigga beat me and my son or kill both of us. Niggas was just looking like, "Oh, wow, a show." Like this dude. And I said it to him. I said, "Bro, what's wrong with you?" I said, "Why are we like this? Black people." And he was like, "Nigga, fuck all that." And I was like, right. When we get into the topic that we had about our image in the media and things of this sort, that's where the stuff that we're saying, we need Black people to back us up. Like we need our community to back us up. The image that we portray, the sagging pants and just gang, all this crazy shit. It's just a horrible example of like who we are as a people. But this is the stuff that's pushed in the media. You know what I'm saying? So this is the stuff that when it comes down to, oh, I see this Black guy, I think this, that, and the third. People have been scared of me my entire life. I'm not a violent person. I've noticed at a young age, 12, 13, that people used to grasp their purse when I walk by. I've never stolen a purse in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's associated with my skin color, crime, and what do you call it? Rebelling, revolting. But it started from us fighting back for a cause, for a purpose, and then it got into, you know what I mean? Just like with the gangs started back to combat police, you know, and then the Crips. It started with the Crips, and then it got into, well, I'm 3rd Street Crip, I'm this street Crip, and niggas, excuse my language, people started fighting each other. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, where do we lose our focus? You know, so there are some great people in this world. That's the whole reason that we're doing the Extraordinary People playlist, is because we want to highlight that it's people who come from troubled backgrounds and they still decided to take the hard way, which is working 40 hours a week or being responsible instead of doing the easy route and just grabbing a pistol or just doing whatever the hell they want to do, taking whatever they can take, you know, and just figuring out their own way. You know what I'm saying? We need our people to help us.
Yeah. When you said like the image that is constantly pushed out of us is like, you were talking about the baggy pants and the gang and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, let me find something within that. Because yes, they do, the media does seem to portray us in one way. And even when I don't watch certain shows, but I think I watched Real Housewives of Atlanta maybe like 2 episodes, and I was like, this is not representative of Atlanta, but
I don't know anybody who act like that.
But it's fine, like whatever. I said that to say there are certain things that the media and people demonize about Black folks that I actually have learned to like love about myself. So when people used to call me ghetto and loud or ratchet or whatever, I'm like, what's wrong with me like having volume? There's a reason why I have volume to my voice. Knowing when and where to use it, I guess, is one thing or another. But I take pride in what I learned from growing up, how I grew up. It's actually some real skills. Like I'm very resourceful. I know how to like put stuff together on a dime, a tight budget. I can, like, I have street smart, so I know danger is probably over there. This is what I need to do, take care of myself. I can go find it. There are like a lot of skills that we learn from being in those conditions, and some of the ways that we choose to dress do not define who we are at all,
Right.
at all. Like, people would probably never know, and my brothers would probably hate me for saying this, but I'm talking about hardcore rappers who will be watching anime and playing Killer Instinct in the house. And it was like, these my brothers, but you feel pressure to also, like, when you go out into the street, you know it's a war zone. You put our neighborhoods, it's constantly under-resourced, underfunded, and then you tell us, like, just survive. It happens. We end up, and people do that everywhere. It's not just us, but they publicize us like we're public enemy number one. So we do get a lot of anti-Blackness because people are afraid of us. You're absolutely right. They are afraid of us. They should not be, but they are. And the bias goes, that was another thing you had said about the bias of people being afraid of you and clutching their purse. So the bias went the other way. When I was younger in Georgia, I was like, oh, well, I guess white people are kinder and I can leave my purse unattended. And that was the first time I got some stolen out that bit. So I was like, whoa, it was a really big wake up call. I was telling this person about this new thing I had bought, and it was gone. And he was gone after that. He didn't come back to the job no more. It was gone. And I was like, wow, I have been brainwashed to believe that, and I fed into it.
Yeah.
And I learned.
You think nothing can happen because I'm around these people who are just so docile and they're so innocent, but that's definitely not the case. In history, it shows that everything has been taken that America owns. So we know that's not the case. Getting back to what you said about going outside and that image and how we look. Yeah, I agree, because it's just like how we were talking about Ebonics. It's not necessarily conforming, but you have to fit in and camouflage yourself in a certain environment. You know, if I don't look like I fit in, I'll be noticed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when I was younger, yeah, I did sag my pants. You know what I mean? When I hang around a certain group of people, I do talk different. It's because it's street smarts. We know how to click on and off a persona or an attitude, you know, that way we fit in. But it's just a part of our nature, it's a part of our community. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I just wish that people would be able to see the difference between, like you said, knowing when and where. You know what I'm saying? Knowing when to be loud, knowing when to assert yourself, because being loud is something that we learn when we're younger, because in the Black family, they always tell you, speak up. You know what I'm saying? Because words are power. So I tell my son all the time, speak up. If you're speaking louder, people will take what you're saying a little more serious than the person who mumbles or speaks under their breath. So we get used to speaking up at a young age, and people just think, oh, you're just being loud. No, I'm being assertive. You're going to hear what I'm saying. You're going to respect these words. For sure. You see what I'm saying? Because what I'm saying is law. So I strongly agree with that. Yeah. I had something else to say. I don't forget. That's okay to come back to you. I also spoke louder because it was 6 of us. And it was like, everybody wants to talk. Everybody is trying to speak at the same time. And you know what? I found beauty in that. I don't know. Let me see what a word to call it. Contain chaos. Because it's like everybody's trying to talk, but we all are hearing what each other is saying. So sometimes when I would get into these very professional environments, sometimes they'll be like, oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. I said, that was okay. Because sometimes I'm used to people interjecting. Like, there are times where I know I can be interrupted and it's okay. And there are times where I'm like, I need you to listen to what I'm saying. And there's a difference, right? And I know how to flow in between the two. But yeah, we learn how to code switch early, and it's unfortunate that we have to do it so much to a point where I start questioning, like, who am I really? I gotta make sure I'm me, because I'm like doing this so much, right? But I am a combination of so many different things, and that's a beautiful diversity about being who I am. And Blackness is not like a one type of thing. And I think when we're younger, what we need to talk about in school, especially we went to all Black schools, we didn't talk about Blackness, right? And we talked about the things that happened to us in our history and how to be proud. But we didn't get to explore
that Blackness and talk about joy in Blackness, and that resilience, and just
Another great point.
looking into our identity a little bit more, because I wouldn't have had like people in high school be like, oh, you're an Oreo, or you listen to this music, or you this or that. Like, they didn't know I was rapping hardcore hard body, because
Right.
that was my neighborhood, and I can go listen to Evanescence and System of a Down and still be rocking with it. Like, Blackness is not one way. It's not just this one thing that you see. It's such a beautiful, combination of so many things.
Right. You just said some powerful things. I just want to give you a moment of silence. I strongly agree. Our culture is so complex, and there's so much within our culture, and there's so much to learn about our culture and just to experience, especially when it comes to music, art, fashion, hair. Hair was a huge fashion in itself with African American women, how they back in the day. There's a whole study on the evolution of hairstyles, but it's a self-expression. We're a culture that finds different ways to express ourselves. And I hate that sagging pants is one of them. You see what I'm saying? I hate to be both sides of the bush, because I know that it came from a prison thing, but I know that there's guys that's doing it who ain't gay. And they're not doing it because it's a prison thing. They're doing it because it's a part of who they feel they are and their environment. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's so many stereotypes that have explanations.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many stereotypes that are not black and white when you think of an African American person. They say, oh, we the loud thing, or we rowdy, or we are disrespectful, or we may cause a ruckus. Rebel rousers.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we are accustomed to having to stand up for ourselves. We are accustomed to things being unfair and having to either take it or speak up. And while we're growing up, the whole time we're being taught to stand up for yourself and speak up for yourself. So when we start doing that, we get shot, we get beat up, shit like that. So these are the reasons why the shit ain't the same. Yeah. I just watched a guy who they say, I don't know if he was on the roof or whatever, but he shot a couple cops. He was arrested. Then there was another guy.
What was his?
Oh, he was Caucasian. Clearly.
Oh.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But, there's numerous videos online. There's the black guy who jumped out the car and ran, and then he was shot in the back several times. And they said, oh, I thought he had a firearm. So they didn't give he turned at me and shot, or he had killed someone. He was being chased, jumped out of a car, clearly a teenager, murdered. Just like the other kid who was resisting arrest, and she thought she pulled her taser, which doesn't feel like a gun, doesn't have a trigger like a gun, isn't in the same slot as the gun, and you're a trained professional, and she murdered him in front of his girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? What kills me about these situations is that there's so many situations where we're not treated the same, that when someone says we're all the same, it's a spit in the face. We're not all the same. How many of your race, whatever race, is in prison for possession of marijuana? And then how many of your race has a marijuana empire legally? We are not the same. We are not the same.
And the sooner we accept that,
right,
then we can have a conversation. It's okay. And when we talk about these differences, some people might experience feelings of like, oh, this is about me because I identify with, listen, we're stating a fact. It does not demonize the individual. We don't know who you are, right? Like, you're your own person. Until you prove otherwise, you're a person who happens to be associated with this race, and you need to learn your part in history and being better as well. But I think that's the problem that people have. They get uncomfortable talking about race because they never have to. We always have to think about and know our race wherever we go, always, without fail. But if you don't have to, then it's uncomfortable for you to start doing that, especially if you didn't start doing this when you were younger, or you don't have people openly talk about this. So my message for today is, listen, folks, like, we need to be able to have real conversations in order for us to get better as a people. We need to be able to talk about stuff that's hard. We need to have courageous conversations. You need to be okay with being uncomfortable. And we need to get to a place where we can be willing to listen to someone. And if you are incorrect or misinformed, then you can, we can help heal you and build you together. We're here for you.
And look, this is a podcast for adults. If you're not mature enough to handle the content, it's probably not the podcast for you. If you have feedback that makes sense, bring it. We're about having discussions. We're about learning. We're about having debates. If white people are more oppressed than black people, teach me. Teach me. Show me. That's fair, right?
Yeah, hopefully that wouldn't even be I want to show you how oppressed I am. Like, I wouldn't know where they would get that from. But if
that's not even the point. Yeah. The only reason I'm saying is, the point that I'm making is, people need to just grow up. Instead of trying to nitpick and find something wrong, like I said before, be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. Yeah. Why are you trying to hold us back? We're spreading the message. We're expressing how we feel. We're celebrating our people. We're celebrating our excellence. We're celebrating our existence. If you got some great things to talk about those great things. We're going to keep pointing out great people of all races, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying? I can't help that.
And proud,
don't be
unapologetic.
Yeah, don't be defensive and throw hate my direction because of my color. Because all you're doing is creating more episodes. Like, that's all you're doing. You know what I'm saying? You're becoming the biggest example. You know what I mean?
Yes, I think that's a good place to end for episode 2. Y'all, thank you so much for joining us today. Please feel free, leave comments, leave likes, leave whatever you feel free to leave.
Yeah, definitely. I want the feedback.
Yes.
Say something real. Say something real.
Yes.
I challenge you to say something real. Don't tell me I'm a scammer unless you done sent me your information.
Yeah, that was very strange. We're not, y'all, we ain't asked nobody for nothing. But I just asked you to hit like. So, but that's not a scam. And we made sure we put the Power Exchange podcast on our name because we are aware that there are other groups with the similar names in which we are not associated with those groups.
Not at all.
Okay. Oh, we would have that. All right, y'all. Be easy out there. Until next time.
Bye-bye.